That's good. And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that sort of individualistic, personal touch that we feel, this deep thirst for, I think it gets us into trouble with the household passages.
Right.
Because we don't have a framework for imagining some sort of corporate decision, right?
Yes.
The Philippian jailer comes and says, my entire household, Dad says we're Christians. And for us, we would shy away and probably even need or feel the need to edit that text because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Like he can't just come home and say the children, potentially the servants and anyone in that household is now a Christian when they didn't personally feel something or decide on their own in a private place after reading scripture and prayer. And I think that becomes our bias. Like we're holding on to a bias and then sort of imposing that on the scriptures. And now we're at war with the actual Bible and we can't let it just say what it says.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. So it's something we have to recognize when we're reading scripture generally is we do bring our own cultural biases and baggage into the text. There's no way of avoiding that. Like, of course you are. You have your own experiences. You have ideas that you've just been taught or you've like absorbed without even consciously thinking about them. And probably the key of those for our context today, in the Western world at least, is that individualistic mindset. Because we think very individualistically, when we read a text, we're reading it through that lens. So some of the work in looking at those household passages, what we want to do, if we really want to work through them, we want to work through them not as, just 21st century Westerners would look at it, but look at it as how would a first century Jew read this passage? Because what do they think? What's their mindset? And the Jewish people were very much, and of course, still in some ways a very communally oriented group. And we see this with just how God called Abraham. He called his family, and we had circumcision that was instituted, and circumcision was then brought to his children, and it was passed on. Israel comes from a family. We think in terms of family units. I mean, even read a lot of the Old Testament prophets and how they speak about the future. They're often speaking about the new covenant in terms of families, because that's just their mindset. They're not thinking just individually. Of course, that's not to say that the Old Testament devalues the individual. The individual is certainly important, but so is that social structure that we're part of. So when you're in that mindset of, well, we do everything as families, as a first century Jew would, you're circumcised, you're a convert to Judaism, you circumcise your kids too. You celebrate the feast days, you celebrate with your kids. As you said, servants and stuff as well. So the families, even the household is beyond just children. So you are thinking of this whole unit, all of these people that live together. And yeah, it generally would be the case that the father would often be the one to make the decision. Yeah. And you're just like, okay. Yeah. I mean, in some ways it happens in a big way when, Constantine converts to Christianity, the whole empire. And Constantine doesn't make it the official religion of the empire, but a lot of people are thinking all right, the emperor's Christian. I guess we're a Christian empire now. And we wouldn't think that way. Yeah. We just wouldn't because our mindset is different. So it's really hard to do that. Put yourself in the mindset of somebody that lived a very long time ago in a different place. But I think we really do have to examine the text as someone in that time would examine the text and question whether our assumptions are really playing into how we read these things.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, what up, though? Listen, we stopped the video to let you know we moving over to Extra Notes Academy. So if you want to see the rest of this podcast, type in Extra Notes Academy in your YouTube search box and you're going to see the rest of this content. Tap in.